4K mode on a 2x crop on the sensor. It's basically, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not excited about it, right?
No.
So that's like, Red's whole motto has been like, oh, if you want slow motion, then you have to crop in on the sensor. The grain structure looks bad. The lenses aren't built for it. I just don't like the way it looks. I hate cropping in on my sensor. So if you have a sensor like a GH5, which is just a smaller format, you have lenses that are adapted for that size, and that makes a lot of sense. So if you have a full frame lens and you start cropping in on it, your chromatic aberration is going to start to blow up. The grain structure, like I said, starts to fall apart. So, super underwhelmed when they came out with their 4K trying to stay current camera with their crop mode. And no Cine log.
No Cine log, no S log at all.
So you're still getting 8 stops of dynamic range on a camera that's completely outdated every 6 months by Sony. You know what I mean? I mean, Sony comes out with a camera that's got like 12 stops dynamic range and 120 frames a second at 4K or like 1080p, and you just got all these cool features, 4K internal without any cropping, and Canon just wasn't holding on. And I think they definitely felt it in their sales.
So in order to accomplish, I've got to move their sales and to get their camera back in the game. The rumor is, I don't think they've officially announced it.
Has it not been? Because I've seen it all over the place.
It's all over the place, but they're going to step up to a 4K on a 1.27 crop, which is a slight crop on the sensor.
It sounds great to me. Look, 1.3 is still like you're still in red territory, right?
Yeah.
Not quite Vista. I think VistaVision is full frame and it's just maybe a little bit bigger on the horizontal axis, but definitely like Red Epic 5K, like that's the same sensor size, which is really exciting, right? So you're still bigger than Super 35. So you're still going to need a little bit more depth of field. And finally, it's something to compete with. Plus, C-Log.
C-Log, yep.
Yeah.
Which is it. Still 8-bit, though. Still 8-bit.
Yeah. I wish they had changed the output, right, so that you go into your Atomos and like a 10-bit
that would have
4K
been,
file.
That would have been the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
You get an out.
At this point, there may be some limitations, because I think Canon's going, whatever this camera can do, let's give it to them. Let's give it to them, because sales are plummeting, Sony's skyrocketing. We got to do something to keep up with the market. And I think finally they started to get the picture. We don't need another camera body. You've got plenty of speed on your processor. You've got a dual whatever in this thing that can do, like frame bursts for 30 megapixel, images. Why can't we do 4K internal without cropping the sensor? And they're finally wising up to that, I think.
Part of the issue is they do have a heat sink with it. And they say that if you do this update on your old Mark IV, that you can have a problem with shooting 4K. I mean, it'll shoot 4K, but it's going to have a tendency to overheat. And so they have a heat sink and an update. They don't know how much that's going to cost to be able to update your old Mark IV, to put this heat sink in. But the new ones will be coming with that.
Okay.
Which kind of just kills the sales on
the current
one.
The current ones.
I'm like,
I think so.
I was thinking, I'm probably going to buy a couple of these, but not till after the new one comes out. There's no way.
Man, I wonder even if they're going to is it going to be the 5D Mark IV H for heatsink? You know what I mean? Like, are they going to charge more for that one, or are they going to drop the price of the old one?
Oh, they can't charge more. That would be suicide.
It would be suicide. It's already expensive. It's an expensive camera. But I'll tell you why I think I'm more excited about this than...
Yeah, why is this about to become the best?
Right, so I love the Canon skin tone. I love it.
The color is very pretty.
It's so pretty. It's warm and fluffy and soft, and you think soft, I want sharpness, right? And that's how Sony's game is all about, like the sharpness. Which is cool in some certain situations, but this to me feels so organic.
It can look a little like video.
It can. Well, and there's just like something that's not soft or pretty about it. You know what I mean? It's like the 4K movement is cool, but if you don't have something to soften or like organically give me some like fluffiness on my skin tone, and I'm just not, it's just too much. So
it's more of a cinema look.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Plus, I really do like how my hand fits here, and you need some weight in your video.
You really do. In order to use that camera seamlessly and to be able to do fluid motions, it's a little bit of weight is not a bad thing.
I mean, literally, your Sony cameras are half that width.
Oh yeah.
And probably half the weight, and you just I get a lot of just this, involuntarily this, without some sort of rig, right? And I guess if you have a rig, that's cool. You've got a lot of companies that build camera rigs.
The tilter rigs for the Sonys are incredible.
Right, tilter rigs do great, do very well. So, but I mean, I like being able to pick up a camera and somewhat get a steady shot, you know, pulling focus or holding it, and I think I just get that a little bit more with this.
Yeah.
My hand just fits around it better.
Well, plus if you're used to Canon, you've loved, I mean, everything's in the same place.
Yep.
You know,
I like
it's
the
all
menu
there.
systems more in them.
Yep.
So I have C300, C100. I've got all, you know, it's like, so I am familiar with their menu structure. So.
Although I have the A7R II, and I love it. I mean, I travel with it.
Yeah.
It's light. I love the image. I actually love the look of the images a lot.
Oh, cool.
So I do. I shoot with it all the time.
Great. Do you? Okay, let me ask you this: do you like the look of the images on your A7R II more than your 5D Mark III?
That's a hard question.
It is a hard question, because I know if I were to ask you the shooting experience, I think you would say the Mark III.
Mark III was in the beginning, but I've kind of gotten over that curve now.
Oh, interesting.
I'm starting to feel much more comfortable that it's A7R II. I'm enjoying shooting it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel very comfortable with it.
Cool, man.
So that is good. When you get into really warm, it is interesting to me. If I'm shooting into like sunset, I actually like the Sony a lot because.
Oh, cool. The dynamic range?
Well, it's you have so much warmth going on already.
Okay.
That I just like the way the sensor responds.
You think
to that
you think that this A7R II is warmer than the 5D?
No, it's not as warm. So
Okay,
when I got all that warmth
gotcha,
going on,
yeah.
I got all that warmth going on. I don't need that. And it gives you a beautiful image.
Oh, cool.
But you know what? We're splitting hairs here about.
I don't know. We've now titled the show. What was the title of the show, Judy? It's like
Why the Canon 5D Mark IV is the best camera in its class.
Well, after having said all of that, because of these new specs, I'm buying 2 of the Mark IVs.
Hey, good way to go, man.
I just absolutely
Yeah.
have to because it's now a 4K camera I can use. It's got a log, so if you're in that situation, you have a log to be able to depend on. I mean, it's a fabulous camera. The only thing I wish it did was give me an output so I could use an Atomos recorder. Or a
You can
Blackmagic.
still use an Atomos recorder. I don't know. 8-bit, you should be able to do 4K, right? At that same crop, the 1.25 crop.
You should be able
2.7.
to. Yes.
Yeah.
So
You
there
should be
have
able
it.
to. So
you should. I mean, is that the
hopefully-
case? I don't know for sure.
So does the A7R II?
Is anyone on? You know what? Tell us what you think. Can you do a?
Because right now you can. You can go out of the HDMI, but it stays at 8-bit.
Yeah.
And that's what this is saying too. So, but okay, now what I want to know is, because we do know what the Sony can do, can you do more than 8-bit out of the Sony A7R II into the Atomos? Because does it do 10-bit?
No.
So I know the GH5 does 10-bit now.
No, I don't. No, I don't think the Sony does. I think
Okay.
it's 8-bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so there you go.
There you go. They spec'd it right up to be in the market.
Ugh.
And
You know, if I were shooting more stills professionally, I'd buy one in a heartbeat.
oh, it's an incredible camera.
Yeah, yeah, and I do like the video mode on the 5D Mark II and the Mark III. Like it's so funny to me that while I'm shooting it, I think I don't like it, and then when I see it on a TV, even when I'm editing, I don't think I like it. But when I see it on TV, I go, I like this. I like it. It's just soft, and like sometimes your highlights go because you're only looking at 8, stops the dynamic range, but it's nice. It's fun, So I'm excited.
So we do have some debate over skin tone.
Okay, skin tone debate.
So Flash One Films says he loves Canon skin tones for pictures, but for videos, definitely Sony. Sully says, no way, it's way more green because of the BSI sensor.
Okay, so the green and warm is different, right?
Yes.
So you've got temperature, and then you've got tint. Temperature and tint, and those are different. And we could probably look at things. I've had very green experiences in my Sony cameras.
Really?
Very green. So like the color balance is the same for me, in my personal preference or opinion, but the tint I think leans a little bit more green. I think in video mode, because we haven't had a C-Log option or a beefy codec option in the past, that's maybe why you think your skin tone's not quite there. And so I think I'm banking on the C-Log update to this camera, making those skin tones almost quite the quality of your images in video mode. But good point.
Excellent point.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts there, Judy?
Trevor Pinicky says the Sony sensor captures more information in the green channel, but it's easy to compensate.
Yeah. Yeah, you can compensate all this stuff. You can correct it.
Very easy to compensate. Certainly isn't stills without any problem.
Yeah.
But I mean, the reality sometimes, it seems to me, is that we are used to looking at that Canon image, which is a little orange and a little warm. And so when you look at the Sony image, it's more clean. It's more neutral. not as warm.
And maybe it's just a screen thing.
Yeah, definitely a screen thing.
Because the eyepiece and the screen on Sony cameras, maybe it's just not as. Maybe the quality's just different.
I agree that I'll look at when I'm shooting stills at the screen. I'm going,
Oh no, I'm just not getting what I want.
but I get them back on the computer. I'm going, wow, those are beautiful.
There's no doubt that right now the dynamic range is higher in the Sony camera.
Yeah.
And we tested that first
did.
thing with the A7R2 against the 5D Mark III or 4. I can't remember. No, it was the 5DS. We tested it against.
Yes.
And the dynamic range is better. So,
Yep.
but I'm hoping that C-Log gets us a little bit more, just a little bit more. Give me 10, 11 stops.
So is the 5D Mark IV, is it the best in class?
No, we were just hook baiting people. No, I'm just kidding.
I just think it's interesting because
Yeah.
you and Kenneth, two
Yeah.
people that I very much admire and respect your point of view, both were going, oh, when we heard the specs. It was like, it changed the game completely.
Yeah, no,
So-
because we love slow motion. That's another thing. 3K
That is another-
at 75
60.
frames, 60 frames.
Yeah.
No.
No,
I
75?
think, oh, no, that's right. So 1080 at 75 frames a second, and then 3K at 60 frames a second. So not quite to Sony specs. But I've mentioned it several times on the show. I love the cinematic experience with this, or not cinematic, but just the photographic experience with these cameras. The 5D Mark II, I mean, maybe it's just nostalgia at this point, because I'm so used to shooting on that thing. But I have an A7S, and I hate the thing. I hate it, man. Every time I pick up a 5D Mark III and I go click, and it in the shutter,
You're just used to it. It's a familiarity
it just feels
You know,
good.
what's fascinating to me is that Canon had to do this because
Yep.
when every person that switches over to another camera platform and sells their lenses, that's not an easy road back.
No.
You become more and more used to the menu style of a camera series, and you kind of stay with that, you
Yeah.
know. And so, but I think Canon really betrayed their followers with this camera in the beginning.
Well, with their cinema line is what happened. They became so invested in their cinema line that they felt like there couldn't be any crossover at all.
Yeah.
And they started to do this divide, and people bailed altogether because they went to a smaller Sony like an A7S, and then said, or A6300 or the like, and then when they said, you know what, I'm familiar with this video, I need built-in NDs, XLRs, it was a very easy step up to the FS7 or the F5 55 class. So you're right. It's I'm sure they're feeling their loss in the market share.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Any other questions,
yeah.
Judy, before we go on?
Well, we do have some comments about your mic, JP, but I just want to let everyone know in the software it's working great, so there's something happening with YouTube there.
I wonder if the export thing
Is it not in the right place?
it wasn't mono or something like that.
I changed it to mono before, so it sounds great in Wirecast. But
We're sorry about the mic issues,
Yeah,
guys.
sorry. Can they not hear me?
JP.
Can they not hear JP as well?
Wow, that's discouraging.
Here, I'll put this lower, maybe, and then just boost the signal or
Is
something.
mine up too high?
No, it's fine.
Yeah, I can imagine it.
Here, I'm just gonna pull this out and do this down here,
Whoa.
and then so that we can pick you up, and we'll just boost the signal a little bit.
We do have a question.
So is that working there? Lars just dropped his mic down and
Here, let me change the sensitivity settings here to that. We'll just boost it another 3 decibels.
Lars is pretty good at audio, actually.
That's, well,
You are.
if I was good at audio, we wouldn't be having these sorts of issues. So, can we hear JP a little bit better? JP, want to
Hey,
say
how
something?
you doing there? Photo video trends. We're just cranking along here.
Cranking along.
Whatever that means.
So we do have a question.
Great.
Yes.
From Daniel Sawyer.
Cool, Dan. What's up, man?
Sorry, let me find
Daniel Sawyer. That's a good, strong name.
It is.
He wants to know about the Canon T4i with an 18 to 135 millimeter lens for an entry level setup.
18 to 135?
Yes.
Okay.
A T4i.
So, Daniel wants to know about his T4i with an 18 to 135 millimeter setup for like an entry. Is he doing stills or video?
Sounds like you said for
Photography.
video. Oh, for photography.
Oh, okay.
So it's a photography
Yeah.
entry point? It's a great entry point. The camera's a great entry point. I tell everyone all the time to start with the Rebels because it's
So
a great
rad.
series.
I did.
Yep, it's a great
T2i.
place to start. It really is. The lens is, I mean, it's got a great range.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing people and portraits, you're going to want to be in the 100 millimeter, 80 to 100 millimeter range,
Mm-hmm.
and so you've got that. I mean, I think you've got a great setup there.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
It's like a 3.5 to 5.6 aperture on that lens, I think.
The only thing,
can't remember the aperture, 3.5 to 5.6 or something.
it's a
like
variable aperture,
Right,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure. But my suggestion always to people is get a 24-105. It's an
Yeah.
f4, so it's a little slow, but that's just a great range.
And you can pick those up. The thing about that lens is they come in the kits, and everybody sells it as soon
Sells
as
them
they
off
step
on
up
Craigslist.
into like a 70-200, 2.8, or 24-70. And so they sell them for super cheap. I mean, I've seen it every once in a while go for like $450.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? So
500, 550, pretty often.
Oh, all the time
Yep.
at 500. So I mean, that's $1,000 lens that you can pick up for $500 pretty much any time of the day. So fixed aperture, L series glass. Yeah.
I mean, and they've got a new version out. I don't know. I think that's but that's a great setup.
Yeah,
You know
it
what?
is.
You can't go wrong with that. Get out and take pictures, and you'll have a great experience with that. Learn and progress, and as you learn and progress, you'll step up to different lenses and different cameras.
Yeah, in that portrait range right now, if you're interior, you're gonna fall into some low light situations if you're trying to do things a little bit more verite. So I would definitely look into something fixed aperture. Even 4 is not the greatest, but it'll get you there.
It'll get you started.
Yeah, cool.
So, other questions, Judy? Fire 'em.
Yes, the
All right.
Rex Files wants to know if you're going to be at NAB.
Oh,
Yes.
perfect segue.
Perfect segue. I'm going to be at NAB. I'll be speaking at the LaCie booth on the 25th and 26th at 12 noon. Make a 30-minute presentation there on storage and backup.
Cool.
Well, actually, I'm doing storage and backup is kind of hard what I'm talking about, but I'm talking about the 4 pillars of a successful YouTube channel.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Which,
How many subscribers do you have these days?
Just under 240. I think we're at 237.
Nice.
237.
Rad.
So there you have it. So come and join us at NAB. Say hi. We'll take a picture together. And
So you said LaCie booth, 25th and 26th. That's Tuesday and Wednesday?
Tuesday and
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday at noon. All right. I'll come the 26th.
There you go. Lars will be on the 26th. So you see both of us on the 26th. So come and join us and say hi. So
Yeah. Rad.
there you go.
Sweet.
NAB should be great this year. Although I feel like everybody's already announced all their NAB stuff before NAB.
That's kind of the new trend.
It
I don't
is.
know if that's necessarily. I mean, I keep hearing rumors that Ari's going to announce a new camera,
Oh, really?
like a new Alexa or something.
Oh, interesting.
But I see. My thought would be if they, because the name of the Alexa, that's the sensor, right? So I think it's going to be something totally different with a new sensor. So they're actually going to have like a 4K, true 4K, some sort of camera. But maybe it could be Alexa. I guess it could be Alexa. It's the same sensor technology, just bigger or smaller. So it'll be interesting.
I think.
Okay.
This is my prediction. So now we're on to our predictions for
Yeah,
NAB.
sure. Yeah.
Okay. My prediction is we've been and have not heard enough from Sony. The A7R2's been out there a while. We got the A6500, the A60. That's. I think Sony's going to give a 1-2 punch to the Panasonic GH5 and to the new specs for the 5D Mark IV. I think Sony's going to come out with something in that mirrorless category that will be like, whoa!
I need that immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're really good at that.
They are.
Like
and it's
just
time.
the hype purchase. I can't tell you. Like I bought the A6300 and the A7S both on like total hype. Just like, whoa, I need one now. The specs are incredible.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what
All
the
right.
specs would be. If you could guess what the specs would be, what would they be? What would they do to the A7R2 that would make it even more attractive?
So an A7R3, let's say.
Yes. It's got to be slow motion.
Oh
Better
yeah,
slow
motion.
4K.
So 4K, 120 frames a second.
That would be fabulous.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
and
I would buy it just for
I
that.
don't think that exists right now
No,
in any
Panasonic
form like
is
that.
in that Micro Four Thirds, but it's 120. Is it 120 frames
At 4K?
At 4K? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is
it? We just reviewed this camera.
Yeah.
Why can't I remember this?
Someone refresh
It's
our
over
memories.
100.
We're
No, it is
old.
100. I'm pretty sure it's 120 frames per second
At 4K?
At 4K.
That's pretty cool.
It's the best slow motion camera out there, but it's on a Micro Four Thirds sensor.
All right, what about 1080p? What can it do?
Uh,
That's what I liked about Sony, because Sony's like that.
maybe I'm right. It can't
That-
be.
that
It
doesn't
can't be
sound-
like 240 frames at 1080 or
Because that's what
something.
Sony does. Sony does like 240 at 1080. So,
So anybody out there, what's the slow motion for the? Come on, Andy, if you're on.
4K on
4K.
the GH5. Yeah,
Yeah.
Andy bought one, right?
He did.
That's
the
cool.
second they came out that day, he got
That's
down there.
cool.
So
Good for him.
yep.
Good for
Loves
him.
that
Yeah,
range.
yeah.
So anyway, any other predictions for NAB?
I think all of the, because last year and the year before we were talking about LEDs, right? LEDs, bicolor LEDs, LEDs. Now the new catchword is RGB pixel LEDs.
Interesting.
So we've got the Sky Panel from Ari, choose your poison, which is a $5,500 LED light, right? Very expensive, but that thing rents on every production these days. I mean, you cannot get your hands on one.
The light.
It's the light, right? So it's a soft source. I think it's a 60C or 60S, something like that. So it's about 2 or 3x2, something like that, and it puts out a really punchy light, but it's completely RGB. So you can do any color in the spectrum. You can go through and you can anything Lee or Roscoe gel. Like if you want like
dial them in.
half chrome orange,
yeah,
you just dial it in, and boom, like the light changes, and you can change the hue, the intensity, the saturation. I mean, it's a really cool. So Digital Sputnik, who is another manufacturer of lights made famous by Star Wars, and Greg Fraser, the DP for Star Wars, and Lion, used, I mean, that was like his go-to light, because it's an RGB LED, but they were more like a PAR type style. They just came out with a quasar-like, so it's like a tube, very much like a Kino Flow tube or a quasar tube that is RGB controlled, and the 4-foot is $590.
That's so cheap.
Yes. So I mean, a quasar tube is like $200 for the very, and I know I mentioned this and everybody jumped on me about it, but it's, so if you get just a base single color, yeah, it's $75.
Is it
but,
$75?
But if you want the three, like it's a 2,000 to 6,000, you can just scroll through the color temperature, and then on the dimmer, that's like $150.
But it's
or
RGB.
$300.
So tell me, what's the difference between RGB versus what we've had in the past? I mean, in the past, I've got variable color, but they have two different sets of LEDs.
We recently talked about the tint and color temperature differences. It's that. It's color, temperature, and tint control. So it's every color, right? So if you go, I want to go half plus green on that light and 4200 color temperature. You just blah, 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 blah. Just dial it in.
So the color meter, you can take a reading and say, you know what, this is at 4,400 degrees.
Or 4,400 temperature.
Yep, temperature, yep. And
plus,
dial it in.
And then you go, okay, we're shooting in Walmart. And Walmart has all those T8 fluorescent tubes, and they're all about 4,200 plus 6 green, right?
Yeah.
They're out of control green. And you go, okay, we don't want to replace all those bulbs with Kino ballast. That's going to take us 3 days, and we don't have the manpower. So let's just bring in some of these little digital Sputnik Voyager lights, is what they're called. Let's pop 4 of them in a Kino ballast, get rid of the ballast, and let's take our app out and just dial it into 4,200 plus 6 green.
Plus 6 green.
And it matches perfectly. And then you go to camera and you say we're at 4,200 plus green, and or minus 6 green or whatever, you know. So it calibrates and balances, and man, there you go. It's free. It's pretty cool. Plus, I would say with these lights, you need to get some sort of light meter.
Oh, you got to have a light meter.
Color meter.
Color meter.
Light meter's a thing of the past. Just use your histogram, your false color. But get a color meter.
Which is a great segue.
Okay, sure.
We do have.
Oh, questions.
You asked for the GH5, the info.
Oh, GH5 info. Cool.
So it's 4K, is 60 frames per second, internal 8-bit.
Yeah, it's only 60 frames a second 4K.
Frames.
So we're matching Sony.
It's got to be 100 or 120 at 1080p then.
120, man. If you could do 120 4K Sony, and then give me a little bit more dynamic range, and I'm trying to think what else. Some magical way to build an ND filter in without actually having to build an ND filter into those little cameras.
Would be so interesting.
Magic. It's going to be magic. It's like their variable technology,
Yeah,
but
it's an ND filter on the sensor.
yeah, right.
I could see that.
Yeah, some magic.
Yeah.
Come up with some magic.
9 stops of variable ND on the sensor.
Oh,
man.
man.
That'd be fabulous.
All right.
Also, the update or announcement that people are hoping for from Sony is that their cameras will stop overheating.
Very nice.
So Judy's saying the announcement that they're hoping from Sony is that the cameras will stop overheating.
I agree.
Now here comes a flood of Sony lovers.
I've owned my camera for 3 years and it never overheats.
Okay, the segue, the great segue about meters. We just shot a Kickstarter campaign for a company called Illuminati, and they make this little triangular shaped light meter.
Yeah.
It's very small. And light meter, color meter.
It's all app controlled, yeah?
All app controlled from your phone. So you set that little thing in on set. You can look at your color. You can look at what gels you need to put on. You can just follow everything. It's a great, great little meter. At $300, I think it's $300 is what they're talking about. Between $300 and $400, but I think closer to $300. That's a great Kickstarter campaign you should look for.
What's the cheapest? I think the cheapest color meter before is like $1,700.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It's ICANN's color meter, which is cool, and they've got lots of features.
I love that meter, but it's not $300.
It's not $1,700, something like that. So yeah, a $300. Look, Light meters, like I said, thing of the past. I don't use them anymore. Maybe you have a gaffer show up that uses them, and they're cool. Don't get me wrong; they're really important. But what I'm metering is false color. I trim my false color, and I go to my histogram on my monitor, and I know exactly where my things are at. Right? So I don't know.
I'm gonna hear the comments
Oh
now.
no, you don't need them. A cinematographer doesn't need them anymore.
Cinematographers use them all the time.
I mean, they're just showing off.
Look, I can take a reading.
Totally. What's her skin tone on this spot meter? Okay, I think we're good, guys. I think we're gonna close down a half stop. No. I'm looking at my false color on my monitor, going, okay, my key is about 65%, and my fill is about 35%.
Okay, so let's go beyond the color metering or the metering part. The color metering part is extremely useful.
Important. It's so important.
And to get a meter that's $300. Anyway, I think Michael over at Illuminati, his background is in scientific reading of color.
Oh, great.
So he would make these little meters that would test for different color balances for different applications, scientific applications. So they're on. I mean, these are made to work.
Nice.
So the meter that we had was fabulous, and
I'd love to test it against those $1,700
it
guys.
would really be interesting to see that.
Let's do that.
The Kickstarter campaign is to get the app made for the iPhone.
Okay.
He has one for Android.
Okay.
And the app for the iPhone is coming. So.
Yeah.
But at that price, I mean, I would put these things in different places and just I would use them for exposure. When I'm trying to match strobes to the setting sun,
all right,
it's just so fast for me to look at my phone and say, okay, drop to half a stop.
Yeah.
I can just change that and keep shooting.
That's pretty
cool.
cool.
Drop to half a shot.
If it's just like somewhere on set constantly and you can just like pull out your phone.
Just gives you a reading to your phone, says just drop to half a stop. It'll give you an alert.
Oh, no way.
It'll alert you when it drops.
That's cool.
So you don't even have to. You don't even have to be looking at it. It'll go bloop. Oh, drop to half a stop.
Okay, all right. That's neato, man.
Anyway,
neato.
So anyway, check that out. Kickstarter from Illuminati.
Any other thoughts, questions, comments, hate, mail?
Yeah, Trevor says for the size of the market, demanding an internal ND on these cameras for return simply wouldn't be worth it. The companies are up against the wall to make money.
All right, so he's saying that an internal ND wouldn't be worth it for the market. I disagree. First of all, I really don't think it would be that much more expensive. I mean, the engineering costs might get there, but I would venture to say that 50% or more of your users are using these cameras for video purposes and photograph. We'll say there's a nice blend crossover.
Well, if I were to think of how strong the photo market is and how strong the video market is, I think that number is probably higher.
Okay.
I think 50% is a very generous to the photo market.
Okay. Yeah. So I didn't want to get too many people ticked off, but that would be my guess. So I would assume that if you put something like ND in these little cameras, people will go crazy over it. I think they go crazy. I'd go crazy. Hey, you know what? They have like a little point and shoot. I can't remember. It's like RX105 or something like that. That I've heard of some sort of ND-esque feature, but it's a point and shoot.
Yeah.
So maybe they're already starting to come up with this magic.
Sometimes they do that.
Sorcery.
They test them on the lower end cameras to see if it's going to work.
Really?
That's what Canon did with the focus.
T2i.
Yeah, they played with the focus on the lower end cameras.
You're right.
People love it. Steps up. Yeah. All right, let's go on to some other topics.
Okay.
Unless there's any other questions. Okay. So I just thought it was important that phase one. This is kind of a leak that they said that phase one is talking about a 100 megapixel medium format black and white sensor. Black and white, back. There we go. Got
a black and white sensor.
Black and white, yeah, back. So
that's weird.
If you have ever shot black and white on a beautiful sensor, it is beautiful. It's not the same as converting black and white. I mean, it's the same thing that you talk about, the fluffiness and all the stuff at Canon. Black and white is that way. It's made to show black and white, and it's a beautiful look, and especially at 100 megapixels. As I understand it, these things are made for medium format, so you're going to go on your RB, you're going to go on a Hasselblad, it's going on all those different cameras. So, but this is just a rumor, These are not cheap. These are not cheap.
No, they're not. 10 grand.
Oh, I think they're in that category. Yeah.
Kenneth and I just shot a music video in black and white.
I saw it.
And we had. Did you watch it?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
And we had. Yeah, it was fun. We had a LUT, a black and white LUT that was specifically designed to give us the right kind of contrast and that punchiness and the skin tone and the soft quality. So it was fun. It was a fun little thing, and I'm happy with the way it turned out. Yeah.
I should do another lesson on how to shoot in black and white because I am surprised at how little people know about black and white these days.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you put a red filter on for blue sky to cancel, to make it black and. Yeah.
Well, I can't remember who I was working with, and she was saying, the shirt is so dark and black and white. And I'm going, that's because it's red. And red shirts go black and black and white. So,
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, you should. That'd be great.
There you go.
That'd be really great.
Okay. What else we got here?
Oh, do we need to talk about red not showing up at NAB?
Yeah. You know, it's fascinating to me. I don't know if you know what they charge, but I had a sense of some of the fees for those things. They're in not the hundreds of thousands, but they're in the millions of dollars
for the bigger booths.
For the bigger booths. I mean, it's just insane the amount of money people spend there.
So if they're just not seeing the return on investment.
Well, it's not a place you see a return on investment. It's not like
Is
you
it
go
though?
there. You go there. You spend your $3 million. You got a great big show. You fly your people from all over the country there, and you don't walk away going, "Well, we sold $4 million worth of cameras."
No, but it's like Henry Ford says, right? So he says 50% of my advertising dollars are wasted. The problem is I don't know which 50%.
I don't know which 50%.
Right. So I mean, NAB. If you're a premier sponsor, right, and you're not selling cameras there, but there's a presence, there's a coolness factor, and you got 200,000 people that come through in 3 days. You don't know which of those people will eventually become your customer in the future, and it just surprises me that at one of the biggest, maybe it's just too ENG focused, NAB.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because I mean that's like. I get the sense that you've got more markets there that are looking at your Grass Valley video switchers, for your live broadcast in whatever country than you do for like a more cinematic experience.
Well, they've said they're looking to spend their dollars at Cinegear.
There you go.
Which is more of a cinematic.
In Los Angeles.
Yeah, within Los Angeles on the back lot, so they're really there to, I don't know. That's what they're saying. It would be interesting to see if that affects who's there next year.
Yeah.
People are going, you know what? Man, we're not going to go. We're not going to spend our $3 million.
Well, your other big competing companies, like Blackmagic has plenty of ENG products.
Yeah, huge.
I mean, that's like I think their main focus. This cinema market, they're just kind of now saying, yeah, we're trying to compete. We are competing. RI is also a nice crossover with their lights. Not so much their cameras. I mean, yes, the Alexa is like the king of cinema, but their lights are used in studios across the world. So I don't know. What other competitor is there that's like Red that doesn't really have an ENG presence? Because Red
so maybe there's enough crossover for most people then. You're saying, but Red, they're going,
we are strictly cinema.
We're cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Okay.
Cool. Talk about
Sully wants to know, he said there are rumors of a large format stills camera coming. Have you heard anything?
Oh, a large format stills camera?
I have not heard of anything about a large format stills camera other than the Fuji Films camera, which was incredible.
Yeah.
We've tested, but I have not heard. No, nothing.
Sony, I mean, maybe that's it.
Maybe that's what Sony's going to do.
A $3,000...
wouldn't be three. It'd be like 4,000 or 5, 4 to 5.
All right, let's say 4,000. Let's say 4. That's because now we're dream
We're
world.
definitely dreaming.
All right, so $4,000 medium format, 50 megapixel Sony camera with a 4K uncropped video.
So that's the problem when you get in those large sensors. It's really hard to give you a really clean. I don't know. I guess they could do it. They could probably do it.
We're just imaginary world here, at 60 frames a second. 4K.
I love
format.
medium format. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the Fuji. I just dream about. But when it comes to video, it just doesn't make that much sense to me. The form factor of the camera is more clunky, like your Alexa.
All right, somebody tag this time code in the video, and let's show JP this when he buys this camera for video mode, because it's the prettiest thing he's ever seen in his entire life.
That's right. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. That would be fantastic. So, all right, what you got?
All right, I got Adobe improves your selfies.
Talk to me. Sounds fascinating, JP.
Well, they just have a lot of features where you can take your images. I mean, it's a clickbait is what this is, because you're like, yeah, Photoshop's been improving images ever since it came out. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's an app. You can do it right.
Okay, it's an app on your phone. It's Photoshop app on your phone to improve your selfies.
Understand how much time this will save the women who take hundreds of photos of them.
So it's a Photoshop app for your phone.
It is.
But they've had that forever.
Yeah, it's not
They've had a Photoshop. I have the Photoshop app on my phone. This is different.
This is for selfies. So I have to admit, I do have someone very close to me, and it is not my wife. So don't let me throw Jelena under the bus. Who they have to do their selfie, fix the hair. Okay, where we at? Okay. And they look gorgeous, and so those selfies are pretty important.
There you go.
Pretty important.
Cool, man.
So there you go.
Sweet,
An app made it. So it's going to take. We're able to transfer a typical selfie into a flattering portrait with a pleasing depth of field effect. So it's kind of like taking what's already there.
Okay.
If you take it on the iPhone, which has got the portrait mode, it gives you that depth of field control.
This is neat because the iPhone has
all of a sudden
two
Lars
cameras.
is on board.
No. Okay, because the depth of field.
I can see him doing duck lips.
Oh, I got killer duck lips, man. My wife tells me I got killer duck lips. All right, no. Here's what I'm understanding. Now they have a software algorithm that recognizes faces and shoulders, maybe, right? And so now they're saying, okay, whatever's behind that, throw it out of focus a little bit. So they're taking the iPhone technology, which requires two lenses to figure out your depth of field and then blur the background, and now saying, no, we don't need that anymore. We can do this with software.
Sure, which is just a matter of outlining.
Right. So if that is the case, yeah, I'm on board. I'm excited. I wasn't on board anymore until I heard that. That's cool. All right, way to go, Adobe.
Gotta love those guys. In the end, when the world comes crumbling down, there'll only be two companies left.
Which are?
DJI and Adobe.
DJI. So
they will own the world.
They will own the world.
They will own Airy.
I think we can expect a Phantom 5 at NAB.
Oh, really? You think so?
I think so.
No change in the Inspire, but a Phantom 5?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the Inspire, they just came out. There's a new Inspire. It's the 5DR. It's the.
Oh, that one.
It's crazy. It's cool. But what I want is is one that you can crash, and it's like totally fine. It's just like a rubber body. It's just like
that makes a lot of sense.
You know what I mean?
You can crash them
and maybe just replace the blades for like $20.
I love DJI's products. I mean, they're just incredible.
They're the best.
They are. They're just the best.
Yeah.
So
such a pleasure to fly.
Your Inspire
so
is beautiful. I think the imagery we've gotten with it, I think, is fabulous. So
they're so fun. Love that camera.
So Oblex wants to know what the best value for your money is for a 75mm fluid video head.
Oh, 75mm fluid video head. Value-wise,
best value.
I think your Benro is probably your best value.
That's the entry point that has nice value and not really expensive.
Right. I'm not a super fan of Manfrotto. Unfortunately, I can't think of any other one that's like. E-Image is another Chinese company that makes some decent tripod heads. I'm not super stoked on. At least they're more fluid, in my opinion, than the Manfrotto stuff. They just break a lot. And I have
other than that,
I have a 75mm Miller,
which is incredible.
Which I mean, they're great. It's awesome. But yeah, I would say Benro.
I just realized on Monday I was shooting out of town. The guy I hired brought his tripod Manfrotto, and I realized why I don't like them so much.
Oh, why? Please.
It's because the knob to release your tilt is on the right hand side. I focus and I work the camera on that right hand side. And
all the other competing tripods are on the left.
Yeah, and I'm just like, it drives me crazy.
I can't tell you how many 504s or 509s I've picked up from rental houses, or if I'm shooting whatever, if they've got them supplied. Like there's going back and forth from my pan. There's like a
glitch.
No, yeah, there's like a lag, or not a lag, but like play. There's like play.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm going, this is literally rendering this tripod completely worthless.
Yeah, absolutely. The basic pan.
Like 1 out of 3.
Anyway, we're bagging on. Manfrotto, we love you.
We love you guys.
We do love you. And they make great tripods. They really do.
The best.
They do. But just in that inter-video level, I think Benro is the best choice. I think getting up to the Miller, like you have, is a really smart. But
Sockler's
what's a Sockler
awesome.
Or Miller cost, though?
They're expensive. They're $1,000.
Yeah,
they're $1,000.
You're into $1,000. You're not into a Benro for $1,000. It's probably more like $3,500 or $350, $400.
Yeah, something like that. So. Nikon D7500.
Oh, that's right. We haven't talked about the D7500.
We haven't. So here's a 4K crop sensor camera for about $1,245.
Pretty. I mean, it's got some really impressive specs that start to look like, it looks a lot like their higher end big brother, the D500. I mean, it has a 20 megapixel sensor.
Yeah.
It's got an ISO range up to 51
No, it can be expanded to 1.64 million ISO.
1.64. No.
Yeah, it's
1.64 million.
I mean, that, you know what that is? That is the ultimate clickbait right there.
That is the ultimate.
I love it. Like 51,000, but it can be expanded to 1.64 million, and you're like,
what does
well,
1.64
sure.
million do?
Like,
Goes to 11.
yeah, I guess the low end could be expanded to 1. Doesn't mean it's gonna look good. You know what I mean?
Well, all those cameras, you can expand them. You're going after 2,400. I mean, 24,000, 25,000. What does that even mean anymore?
I know.
So we can shoot in the dark. We can make the Blair Witch Project with our camera.
Yeah, with moonlight.
Using only a candle.
Candle's gonna be overexposed.
What was the Bear Lyndon was shot only with candlelight?
Yes.
The DP shot only with
the
candlelight.
Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the special lenses made.
Yep.
Those
Only with candlelight.
Like, I can't remember what they're called, but yeah, it was like 0.95 apertures on them.
0.95.
It's crazy.
Nothing's in focus.
Hundreds of candles. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, hundreds of candles.
So like that. Just
But
like
anyway, it's an interesting camera that came out. I mean, it's doing 4K video.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me like kind of an answer to the A6500.
A6500. It's exactly what it is. A6300, A6500.
Yep.
But I mean, given the opportunity, I would buy a Sony.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were a Nikon guy and had invested all my Nikon glass, then okay, I get it. You know, they're just trying to stay current. But
I'm a double platform guy. I am. I have my Canon stuff, and then I've got all my Metabones for Sony. And so I have one set of lenses.
Sony would be like your friends with benefits.
Yes. So they're my friends with benefits.
He's a double platform kind of guy.
I'm a double platform kind of guy.
He doesn't stay married to, you know, it's whatever. He's a double platform guy.
You know?
All right, great. Hey,
I like to love them and not necessarily leave them.
There you go.
That's my problem.
Yeah, friends with benefit. But see, in my opinion, from my observation, looking over at your world, that doesn't seem like a double platform kind of guy. That seems like a Canon guy that's using certain third-party tools to make a Sony work for you. You know what I mean? If you were a double platform, you'd have your Canon.
Too much glass. I've got too much glass.
And that's what I mean.
Glass. All my Tamron lenses, everything, or EF, everything.
I know.
And so it's just too much glass. So at one point, I would really be making the plunge if I were to say, okay, I'm going to buy all
Sony glass.
Sony glass.
I know. So that's what I mean.
It's a huge plunge.
Huge plunge. It's a big splash too.
Anyway, I'll just mention it because I just feel like it.
Okay.
And that is, I did get my 70 to 200 Tamron lens.
I saw the video. I saw the unveiling video on Facebook.
So I don't know why I was like a kid. Christmas, I was so excited. With that
it's
lens.
exciting stuff, man.
And
so
I
the quality's good. Is the focus right?
Yeah.
way?
It's Canon focus.
Canon focus.
It's
fantastic.
Fabulous, and I shot with it. And it's clean and crisp. I really love it. I love the lens. I'll be doing a review on it and just giving my thoughts after I use it. So.
Oh, perfect.
So
perfect.
there you have it.
Are they going to be NAB Tamron?
No. Nope.
Okay.
Tamron doesn't go to NAB.
Gotcha. Cool,
All right.
man.
Another question.
Another question.
Go ahead.
That's great.
The Beat says, I'm looking to get back into professional photography alongside music video production. I currently have a GH4. I'm looking to get a DSLR for portrait and nightclub photography. So he wants to know what camera and lens you would recommend.
So you want to change. Well, maybe he doesn't want to change, because if you have a GH4, maybe you should just get a GH5, because it's pretty impressive. But
what's the low? I never got the impression that the low light was very great on the Panasonic cameras.
It's not. And the test we did showed that it really breaks apart. So if you're doing nightclub stuff, that's not going to work.
If you in the club, you might want to get Sony.
Ah, listen to that. Where did that come from?
Or the 5D Mark IV, the best DSLR on the market. Clickbait. It worked.
That's Sony, and if you're shooting, I think the A7R2 is a pretty amazing camera.
I would say the Ace. Wait, he's doing stills. A7R2.
Yeah, if he's doing stills.
But you can
just doing
you
video,
can still
the A7
push like 3200
S2.
ISO, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 3200 ISO into club, and you're probably getting a pretty decent image.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Even if you went to 64, you'd be fine.
Cool. That's rad.
I mean, you expect to see that in that club situation. You expect it to be gritty and
a little bit gritty, right?
Yeah.
So your pars are like super punchy and almost a little bit blown out, and like everything else is just kind of like a noise level to it.
Yeah, you expect that, and that kind of comes from the days I think of rock and roll. All the old rock and roll images we've ever looked at were shot on triads, and they're pushed two stops.
Yeah.
Doing a 1600,
Yeah.
and I mean, they were just gritty and grainy, and that was the era. You
see Johnny Cash photos, old Johnny Cash photos, and just a little black and white.
Janis Joplin in the
so
fabulous
cool.
look.
So cool.
I need to do a lesson on how to shoot with film, because I still do love film on some level.
On some level.
On some level.
I've never seen you shoot film.
That's some level. I just love the era was so fun. I mean, I don't love the stress that I don't have anymore because I don't shoot film. Digital is like so easy.
Yeah.
My parents have
Judy's
a
parents.
photo that JP took on film up on their wall.
Oh,
There you
wow.
go.
Hey, so do mine. Both
That's
of our
true.
parents have photos that JP took of our families
On film.
on film on our walls. So, yeah, JP took my photo when I was like 14 years old. And there was like
Little did we know.
a 15-year gap of time, 10-year gap of time where we didn't know each other.
Yeah.
And then reacquainted. It was
That's
fun.
so funny.
Yeah,
It's
it's fun.
hilarious.
Small worlds.
So we have another question.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
Dope254. He says, I've been shooting music videos with a T2i
Hmm.
for years, looking
Yeah.
to upgrade. What camera do you suggest? I want some form of slow-mo or 60 frames per second. My max budget is $2,500.
Ooh.
$2,500 max budget needs slow-mo. Do you need 4K? We'll just assume not really.
Yeah.
Sony.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting to see what you're gonna say. And which Sony would you suggest?
Oh, that's tough because the $2,500 budget is like right in between
right
a
there.
crop sensor and a full frame sensor.
I would get. Come on, scrape up $500 and buy a full frame sensor.
No, buy a used A7R2.
There you go.
That's what you do. So
There
you get
you
your 4K 60 frames, your 1080p at 120, possibly 240. No, it doesn't do 240.
No. 240.
At 1080p.
No. 240 frame? No.
You sure?
I'm not positive, but I
No.
don't think so. I think
But
it's
no,
120. I think it's 120.
Okay, so, man, I'd get a used one for about $2,500. The problem is now you're gonna need, if you want to continue using your Canon glass, which I'm assuming you have, you're gonna need an
$400
adapter.
adapter.
Yeah, but no, there's other ones other than the Metabones that aren't quite as expensive. You can get in the like $150 to $200 range.
Really? Don't do
I'm trying.
that.
We're trying to do the
do
budget
that.
thing. You know, we're trying.
So buy a used A7R2, and you could probably get one for about 22 or 23.
Buy one for 22 and pay $300 for your
$300 for the
Metabones
Metabone.
adapter.
You're on the road.
Or find someone that's just like getting rid of them as a package, right? And,
Yes.
and for $2,400, $2,500, you'll find one.
I'm shocked at the number of people that I have talked to
Mm-hmm.
through my experiences, and that want to get rid of their A7R2 or their A7S, and they want the A6500 because the A7R2 is too big. What do these guys want? Like a
What?
camera in their nostril? I mean,
Seriously.
help me out
Google Glass 2.0. It's just like,
here. Yeah.
We have some pushback on the Sony suggestion.
Oh, very
great,
good. Let's
yes.
hear it.
GH5.
Yes, well, that
Is that
was
what they
the
said?
one that people like.
Yeah.
I'm just not
yeah.
loving the GH5 for stills. Just that micro four thirds and the. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, let's hear it.
But this is the music video, so.
Well, if he's doing music
Music
videos,
videos.
GH5 is incredible slow motion, great, but it's not great in low light.
Not great in low light. That's the only thing. Yeah, I just feel like Sony's killing it. And
Well, so they're just saying the rolling shutter on the Sony.
so shoot in the crop mode.
Yeah,
That fixes your roll. So in order to fix your rolling shutter issue on the Sony cameras, they offer a 1.6 crop that gets you into the Super 35 sensor world, and which I think is fine. You're not looking at this 2-time crop where you start to look at your chromatic aberration on your lenses and the grain structure changes completely. So I think that fixes your rolling shutter issue for the video mode.
Definitely does. I have to hand it to the Panasonic, the GH5.
Yeah.
That rolling shutter is, I mean, you don't
Not
have
an
that-
issue?
Not an issue.
But what's
And
the color? The
stabilization-
color space is like 10-bit 422.
10-bit.
So that's pretty rad.
That
I
is.
just am not in super love with that sensor format.
No.
That's my issue.
No, that's mine too. Micro four thirds is just not. Even if it was, well, anyway, it just isn't.
Yeah, you can get like those 16 millimeter super speed type lenses, you know, that cover that sensor, and you got your 1.3 aperture, so you can still get a nice depth of field, you know, and you get like a 12 to 40 millimeter range set, and you'd be okay. But I just love a larger sensor format. That's just me though.
Me too. You know, it's interesting because as we look at all these specs on different cameras, and you think, oh, I wish I had this and that and this and that. The problem with all photography and videography is physics. If physics didn't get in the way, we could have everything we wanted.
Blast
For
those
$1.50.
physicists.
You know? But unfortunately, there are limitations, and one of them is dollars. You know, if you want to spend $50,000, you can probably have everything you want.
Yeah,
Well, actually, you can't.
you can't. I tried.
No, you can't. Definitely, if you want stills and video, there's just no way. There's nothing out there that's perfect in both. You have to have some compromises on both of them in order to be able to make it work.
Unless you just get a red and shoot 8K everything and pull stills from that. Also, up your shutter so you don't get blur. So
That makes your video look horrible.
Yeah, no, you can't win, man.
No.
Can't win.
So that's the
Can't win
problem.
at all.
Although we have been pulling stills on off the A7R2 for a lot for clients.
Really?
Yeah.
It's so weird to
They're
me.
not terrible because you know what happens with them? They throw them on the internet.
There you go.
It's not like they're making
But what do you do about
billboards
your
out of
motion
them.
blur, or is it like pretty stable stuff?
If you're locked off like on a product shot, no big deal.
No big deal.
You know, but if people are moving, you have to be really careful on what you select.
Yeah, there was the stuff we shot in Colombia where I was moving on the glide cam. They wanted some stills from. How'd that turn out?
Yeah, not very good.
Not very good.
Because the camera's moving and
Constantly.
Yeah. And
want it
so
to.
you got this film is built on blur. Each frame's supposed to blur into the next. So that's what creates the illusion, the optical illusion. So anyway.
Yeah.
Any other
questions? Help us.
Well, we only have a couple minutes left, but
Okay.
Trevor, and I remember JP, this was a thing for you, and we've been talking about it today, is he thinks the low light stuff from the GH5 is, quote, stunning.
Oh.
And he says people are just way too hung up on the idea that MFT can't handle low light.
Like
People
photos.
shoot low light BM stuff, and those sensors max at ISO 800. I don't know what happened.
Well,
Wait.
I'll go back and look at it again.
Okay. Great.
You know,
And I've
is
never
true.
shot it.
It is true. Sometimes people start to a camera gets labeled not good in low light, you know, and sometimes it's hard to get past that stigma.
Yeah.
But there was a ton of grain in those. It was bad. I mean,
There's a lot of great.
There's a lot of great.
Judy,
So it's
a
great
quote
low
from
light.
Judy, it was bad.
Great in low light as long as you're okay with a lot of bad grain.
As long as you're
We
okay shooting
shouldn't bag
400
on
ISO.
it. I love the Panasonic. I thought it was a great camera on a lot of different
I would like to
levels.
shoot with one on
Yeah.
some level.
The thing that was the most impressive was the walking with that camera and the image stabilization.
Really?
Oh,
On the
my
accent,
word.
the
It was-
actual sensor?
It was like butter.
Whoa!
Like butter.
Really?
and the skin
Better than the
tones-
Sonys.
The skin tones in that good ISO range were gorgeous.
They were.
Oh, skin
tones are
tone. So
gorgeous.
in the ISO, so the even though maybe the low images were a little bit
Well,
noisy,
if you
the skin
shooting
tones were good.
outdoors,
Yeah, I was shooting outdoors in direct sun, some of them, and I was impressed on how it held both the shadows and the highlights, and the image looked fabulous, looked
Wow.
very good. So.
Very nice. Cool.
So I just wanted to mention here before we wrap up, because we are coming to the end of the show, make sure you join our Facebook group over on the Slanted Lens Facebook page. We have a great community there. People are talking and sharing images, all kinds of great stuff coming up and going on there. So join our Facebook group.
Sweet.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd love to have you as a member of our YouTube community. So anything else that we should share or share?
Maybe have a podcast still.
affiliate link.
We do. Oh yeah. If you want to help support us, all these pieces of equipment that you're about to purchase, get them on our affiliate links.
Yeah.
At the end of the show, we have affiliate links with B&H and with Amazon. We'd love to have you purchase your equipment through those places.
You know you're getting your stuff on B&H and
Yeah,
Amazon
they're
anyway.
down below in the write-up here. If you're buying diapers at Amazon, click on the link below.
And I am buying diapers on Amazon.
Yes, you are.
Oh, let me
So
tell
you
you.
should always go to the Slanted Lens before you purchase your toothbrush, deodorant, or diapers. Not to mention your furniture, toothpaste, or anything else you buy.
Yeah, that
Go
sounds
to
good.
theslantetlens.com, click on one of the links,
One of
and
the links.
buy your stuff at Amazon. That'll be a great support to us.
Yeah.
Maybe so that
What
we
percentage
can,
do we get?
It's not very
5%?
much. No, I wish it was
3%?
that much, like
Varies.
3%. It
The more
it
you
does
buy,
vary.
the more we get.
The more you buy, the more we get.
There you have it. So enough shameless plugs. We appreciate you listening and suffering through enjoying an hour with us here.
Ugh.
And I have nothing else.
Here come the hate comments.
Here they come. I'm sure we're gonna get hate comments in this whole thing. I think we bag on every single camera.
At least once.
At least once. So it was a fair beating, flogging for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
got their fair share. So keep those cameras rolling.
And keep on clicking.
Jesus.